We all saw that Disney made a drastic change in their CEO earlier this week, and people are starting to speculate as to why that would have been. Disney has, of course, been losing money, but I mean, everybody's losing money right now, and it's been tough everywhere. But they've actually shifted their direction of their content over the last several months, and I've noticed it to a point where they're actually dialing back the woke. I mean, they really got, I'd say, a peak woke with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness when they had America Chavez as kind of the lead character of the Doctor Strange movie. Yes, Doctor Strange was not the lead character, America Chavez was. And they had the whole, pride, trans, gay flag uh, proudly displayed during the entire thing. And of course, we all know about the scene with the two mommies and all that that they tried to push on everybody. So that was peak. And after that, it takes a while to shift. So it's like content that's in production 2 years ago shows up now. But we saw that like things started to dial down, like with the new Star Wars shows and things like that. There's not as much of that really going on with the new Marvel stuff. There's really not as much of that going on. Even Wakanda Forever, they had its moments, but they didn't really push the LGBTQIA plus whatever agenda too much comparatively to those prior films. So it seemed like they understood that Get Woke, Go Broke is an actual true thing. And maybe that was the problem with this CEO. And that's why they wanted to go back to something that's going to push our radical agenda over their profitability and over family entertainment again. All right, we'll get into the news and see what's happening here. My name is John Delarose. I am a #1 best-selling author and award-winning comic creator. This is the Demon's Eye fantasy novel. It is on my site right now. This is Christian fantasy. 100%. So I'm dialing things back and don't have an adverse reaction to this because I know that Christian sort of fiction over the last 20 years has been one thing, and it's been a little rough on a lot of people who want to look at that. But if you look at our culture and what fantasy and superheroes and all that used to be, they used to have core Christian values like back in the 50s, the 40s, the golden age, the silver age, had all of that. And I'm trying to revert things back to that and revert to a style that is back to that. So if you really are interested in reading and want to have a good Thanksgiving read and all that, check this out. It's going to be on my website. That link's going to be the first in the description below. Only $3.99 for the read for your weekend. And I really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. It's a great way to do so. And thanks. Let me know what you think about it. If you've read it, let me know what you think about it. Appreciate it. Cool. All right, here it is. Bounding into Comics reports that the Disney Insider speculates Bob Chapek was fired because he crossed Disney's HR department that pushes radical woke politics. Very interesting here. And this is something that kind of tracks with what is going on with Disney overall. When you get into the article, you can read a little bit about this from John Trent, a wonderful article writer and editor down at Bounding Into Comics. Disney insider WDW Pro recently speculated why he believes the Disney company axed Bob Chapek just months after renewing his contract as CEO through 2025. Again, that's like that's a pretty big severance package they're going to be giving right there. And of course they removed him as chief executive for after 3 years. The chairman of the board, Susan Arnold, explained Disney was dealt a tough hand by the pandemic, and yet with Bob at the helm, our business from parks to streaming not only weathered the storm, but emerged in a position of strength. Really odd if they are then getting rid of him. In this important time of growth and this transformation, the board is committed to keeping Disney on the successful path as it is today, and Bob's leadership is key to achieving that goal. Bob is the right leader at the time for Walt Disney Company, and the board has full confidence in him and his leadership team. Very odd. However, on Sunday, he was giving his walking papers, and his predecessor, Bob Iger, who really was the guy who pushed this stuff, and got everything on this track, was back as the new CEO. The press release says, the Walt Disney Company announced today that Bob Iger is returning as lead Disney as chief executive officer, effective immediately. Mr. Iger, who spent more than 4 decades at the company, including 15 years as its CEO, has agreed to serve Disney as CEO for 2 years with a mandate from the board to set the strategic direction for renewed growth and work closely with the board in developing a successor to lead the company at the completion of his term. Mr. Iger succeeds Bob Chapek, who has stepped down from his position. So here's what the WDW Pro said when he came on the Midnight's Edge show. Great show. He said, when we see a change like this tends to come from the institutional level. This doesn't come from anything that's very small. What I think probably happened is Bob Chapek, he's got some enemies, and those enemies were primarily coming out of LaTondra Newton's department over in HR with the DEI stuff that's highly connected to ESG. Now, there's been a lot of speculation that the ESG funds are actually what set Disney on this path, because they don't have to be profitable when you got the ESG funds coming in. The government's just going to fund the propaganda for you. And that's exactly what's been going on the last several years. Now, it's been uncovered, of course, that this has been happening at an institutional level. I uncovered a story back in the day with Marvel Comics, which is actually a brand, a subsidiary brand of Disney, where there was actually funding tied to the Clinton Foundation with a hire that ended up there, which created the Muslim Ms. Marvel character. Very interesting stuff. And I'm surprised it didn't get reported on in bigger places. But a lot of this stuff going on. There's a lot of ties between the government and these big corporations. And that's where the agenda comes from a lot of the time. So I think they want that funding back, which has really evaporated over the last year. That's why there's been a little bit of a change in their content push. But of course, there's these internal wars going on within the company. Some people can exert some of their power. Some people can't. It's a really interesting thing to watch. And we'll be covering it more in the channel as we see the direction that Bob Iger takes Disney in the coming months and years. Interesting stuff. What do you think about this, my friends? I would love to hear from you. Do you think that this is a move that's coming from HR and they're trying to get back on this path of like pushing these sort of like race theories and LGBTQ things? Is that the deal? Are they pushing that over profitability again? Are they doubling down? Love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.